lap. That's about 5 minutes and change at least of time you're going to waste. So once again, get out there, get one in. Don't blame an accident for not getting a fast lap in.
Yeah, that does factor into strategy, as you do need to have a lap to be on the timesheet. Otherwise, you are by default on the back of the grid. So that is one thing. You've got to factor for things like accidents, just as the team would do in a race situation. You have to factor accidents into the potential equation. There we go. Say Luke Franklin with a 139.914. So crossing the line with a brilliant time there. Say, of course, I think they have a point to prove this time around. They didn't get that P1. They were on the cusp of greatness, but just, of course, we can't forget that last lap incident, can we? Really, just it's burned into our minds at this point.
Burned into the drivers' minds, no doubt as well. Just checking out the Ferrari. If you want to have a look of Emar, he's Mia. I'll get it right at one point. We're three races down. You'd think I'd get it right. Let's see at the Ferrari. We know the Ferrari has pace. He's on an out lap, so he's going to be all charged up and getting ready to go. And I'm just curious to see. He's going to get some temperature in his tires, and then he's going to be approaching this final corner now. Well, there's actually another corner here if you want to count them, but now you're on the straight. Now you're on the gears. Fifth gear, deploying all the battery he can. Let's see what top speed he reaches. I love sweeping through there. It's very, very difficult on a keyboard. Do not attempt it at home. He's going to hopefully get up here. The DRS will be activated in a minute. They've changed the pit lane entrance for this year as well. DRS is activated. He's getting up at about 335, 379, almost 340. So he has hit the 340, 341 now, braking heavily into turn one.
Squeezing every inch of pace out of that Ferrari, and so they are just, I think at this point, drivers are very much trying to feel out the track. You can see that despite that, say, Amir getting very close to the wall there, I think just trying to settle into those lines, get the tires up to temperature, getting used to the feeling of the car, because don't forget, with the low downforce configuration for the straight, a lot of these drivers, I wouldn't be remiss if they're running single-digit wing calibers for this track, which of course means this thing is going to be very twitchy, it's going to be very light on the movement, and you do have to be careful. These cars are no laughing matter. They will snap and bite back if you don't treat them with the respect they deserve. And saying that, it's just blocked up.
He has. Very lucky to keep it out of the fence. But now, got to wait for, as he got traffic, his teammate, I believe, should be coming around the corner right now. So there it is. Nobody else. He should get back onto it. That's, yeah, a bit of a heart in your throat moment. But once again, he was very lucky. He could have damaged the front wing if he wanted to. But if you're DNF, that's it. You're out, as you'd mentioned. And yeah, maybe I need to probably boost my microphone up a little bit there. The casting box with you, Ben. Apparently,
yep. So I have cranked you up a little bit. Hopefully that is good.
People are like, no, don't turn Biggles up, please. Don't turn him up. He's already too loud. So I know. Right. Thank you in chat. I'm also reading the chat out there too, everybody. So say g'day and also, how's a birthday message that's just popped up there? So who would like to shout out that happy birthday to Noah?
Yeah, as I say, even on their birthday, the grind never stops. I say they're out here in the streets of Azerbaijan. No birthday will stop them, and I think they have got definitely in that Ferrari. So they're taking the slot of Frederick Meyer, who sadly had to retire from the league, going to personal. But there we go.
He's got a birthday present already.
Yeah, what a present. So 139.733, 2/10 clear in Q1. That is quite the statement to make. But the question I have for you, Dean, is do you believe in the birthday buff? This is an important question, and I'd love to hear chat's thoughts on this as well. Do we believe in the birthday buff?
Well, explain the birthday buff to me.
Well, to summarise, on your birthday, you're faster. It's as simple as that.
All right, I do, and I believe because it's his birthday, he's immune from any of our casting curses as well. Oh, into the fence goes Ryan. In P17, well, hasn't even set a time at the moment and has to get back. But he's actually, believe it or not, he had invalidated his lap before he slapped it into the fence. So that's a double insult to injury on that. He's got to get back in the pit lane.
Yeah, with that front end plate gone, there's no chance of them saying a good time. But they do still have a little bit of time left here in Q1. 7 minutes, 20 seconds to go. We're starting to get a little bit into the danger zone for the bottom four drivers. But they need to set a lap pretty quickly if they want to have a shot.
Yeah, and once again, there could be a bit of carbon fiber laying around the track too, so you got to also avoid where that is. And it's up to your Jeffrey. And Jeffrey's been replaced, of course, but it's up to your engineer down there to spot where that is. I think they've cleared that debris up thanks to the marshals running across one of the high-speed parts. I wouldn't want to be in Marshall actually running down that main straight that I mentioned. It's 2.2 kilometers. Cars traveling at in excess of 340 kilometers an hour down there to pick up some carbon fiber, that's for sure.
Yeah, these things are really, you are fenced in. That's the other scary thing. So a lot of other tracks, you have the grace of having a bit more room to move. But once traffic is out of the way, but here in Azerbaijan, I say we have to give some love to the stewards and the marshals and say track personnel just as a whole, because a street circuit like this, you haven't got purpose-built architecture and infrastructure. You're working with the map that you've been given, and for them to not only do that, but also do things like run out on track, collect pieces of carbon fiber, it takes guts. It absolutely takes guts.
Yeah, I wonder too, if visiting this track, which would be the best place to sit and watch if you can. Because, I mean, obviously, if you own one of those apartments, fantastic to sit on your balcony and watch it. But, well, because his grandstands are, you know, around certain places, and whether you can walk the whole track or not, it'd be a very interesting circuit, I think, to visit in person. Maybe you and I should walk around that track a little bit later on after the qualifying session, and then before we go to the race, and find out where we should probably be sitting as we cast race.
Yeah, so we'll have to pick out our prime time spots. I think it would be right where the two straights almost meet, because then you get a good angle for both halves of the racing.
Oh, true. We could sit on the fence, couldn't we? And then and watch the cars zoom by at high speeds between both.
A bit of a balancing act. It'll definitely get our adrenaline through. But there we go. So we got Emir, one of the 4 drivers currently yet to set a lap. Let's see how they do. So again, very close to the wall. DRS out. Looks like the remaining 4 drivers are all coming through now to set their times. Jasper Ten Haken with a 140.027, dropping them into P4 as we cross the 5-minute threshold here in Q1. How is Amir going to respond? Of course, only getting 1 point in the previous round. Has a point to prove. Otherwise, has been on an absolute show of dominance, and I think without a doubt they're one of the championship contenders, but they need to bounce back from the performance and from the issues that they had last time. So keeping a nice line through, heading into the castle section.
Hold on.
Very close to the walls there. You see, even in Q1, they are pushing the absolute boundaries. You can see how close they are getting to the walls. And you don't need to take this level of risk, but they're doing it anyway. I think they're trying to get as settled in to a Q3 line as early as possible so they can nail it, bang it out when it comes to that session. We see someone behind just knocked the wall there. Looks like Jason McCleary.
This could be a good time. He set a purple for Sector 1. A pretty competitive Sector 2, about 2/10 down on the Sector 2 time. See if he's going to make it up here on the top speed. And we'll see. Coming out of the castle section, believe it or not, the extra F1 cars went really wide into this way. There's a little bit of one of those safety barriers there. But I don't think you can do it in this without an invalidation. Top speed 340, and top of the timesheets goes Emir.
You're getting there. You're getting there. I believe in you, bud. You're getting there.
I'm going to call him M. Just M soon. I'm going to nickname him M. I think he'd be fine with that. I'll chat to him, obviously, after qualify about it. But anyway, Ferrari 1-2 so far. Just to see the next part of qualifying.
Those chassis are absolutely powerful in qualifying, honestly.
He's retired in the pit lane, so I think he's confident with his 140.2 time to get through qualifying.
Well, so certainly enough, at least at this point, to make it to Q2. But so if you're in the in the bottom 10, you still need to be wary. So I wouldn't count themselves out just yet. On board with Ray and Yelty now, heading through the castle section, taking as much speed as they can. They're currently in the danger zone. 3 minutes left to go in Q1. How are they going to fare? So Nua is following up just behind Amir with, say, just 3 milliseconds between the two Ferraris. Those two are a force to be reckoned with. Of course, we saw them jostling back in the previous round with each other for, say, bragging rights. So to have these two together, it's a lethal combination.
I would also wonder if it comes to a situation where there's a 1-2 and you are in the final lap, if he's ahead of Noah and they're really close, would they do a switch and allow the birthday boy to get the win? That would be the question, I'd imagine. That could be one for a poll. But then again, we have to wait a little bit later in the race to see if that would be the situation. And Ryan, yes, gets his way up into P6 and bit of a sigh of relief because he knows that should be getting him to the next part of qualifying.
There's a sigh of relief for the Williams over in there. But one of the people who is not going to be breathing a sigh of relief anytime soon is going to be, say, the other driver of AJ. Because AJ, will say, we've seen them on their day, absolutely blistering pace. But so far, they have yet to get, well, they have just to get out the cusp of the drop zone. Kieran Stewart was coming in with a 139.6, breaking the previous record by almost a tenth now. And we are starting to see people being pushed into the drop zone. Amir, confident in their time. They're going to drop out a Q1 and settle themselves into Q2. I think they are definitely in good stead. I don't think they need to worry one bit. Say, we have the bottom five are really going to be
just
fighting.
Started a lap now. That is the Mercedes in P20. So he has, this is it. This is a make or break right now. You've got to get this lap nailed. He's got the battery charged. His adrenaline's pumping through his veins. So trust me, that's 15,000 beats per second. The Mercedes driver, because once again, when we talked about the banker laps, he has none. He has no safety net. This has to be the lap if he wants to see any next part of qualifying today, or sit back in the garage and watch the rest of qualifying with his team. So yeah, mountains of pressure. Maximum risk and maximum reward around this track too. Gambling with those barriers, so we'll see how he can do. I'll get his first sector time coming up in a minute.
You can see just
how stressful.
How hard he's pushing it though. He knows this is do or die at this point. So through the castle sections, very close to the barriers, absolutely nailing the line, however. And really, you can just see they are going tooth and nail. But they are in very much danger. They're coming through end of sector 2 now. We're going to see what time they stamp. It's looking like a good pace overall. They haven't made any mistakes. They're putting themselves in a prime position. It's half a second behind Noah right now.
That's
the flag has dropped.
Yeah. Half a second is okay to get you in the top 10-ish qualifying area. If you can nail this third final sector, that's going to push everybody else out. Peter can't do anything about it. Alex can't do anything about it. Bjorn can't, and I don't think they can. Bjorn probably can, but yeah, this could be pushing AJ down here for sure if he does get this across the line. He does, so he pushes AJ into the drop zone, and I think AJ can't do anything about it now. While he's on a hot lap, AJ could maybe steal it away from. Maybe AJ does. P7, wow, on the bubble. Don't you love qualifying eliminations? It just pushes everything down to the last minute. I don't know if anybody else can do anything about it now. That's it. I don't think McLaren can't. That's just that. It's done.
Yeah, that is done. So we've got last few. As say, Liam is front wing damage. They have to go back into the pits. They are out by the looks of things here in Q1. We have a few drivers just left now, but I think we are looking at order. Hardwick going exceptionally slow. We did see an Aston Martin stopped on the track. Could that have potentially been Will Casson? But either way, they have gone. Both Aston Martins have done enough to get through to Q1 and see leaving us. I think you're looking at your Q1 order, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, nobody, thankfully, had crashed out during the qualifying session. So if you did crash out, if you DNF, you will not be seeing the next part of qualifying, even if you did get a time, and I believe that's how it works. But either way, nobody did, which I was surprised. The castle has not claimed any victims yet. I'd say yet, touch wood. But, you know, these are the best that you're going to find here at the Swift Motorsports Racing League. Best. So you do expect the best from the best.
But there we are. So last few seconds now before we head into Q2. So Hardwick just speeding on through. So even though they know they're out, they're not going to go out lying down. They're going to be pushing still, even in those last straights.
They'll get a bit of a breather, at least. That's kind of the one good thing about being out, is that you get to get out of a stretch and hydrate a little bit. But you'll still get that 45-minute break, give or take, anywhere from your qualifying's finished completely. And another thing, I'm keeping my eye on that radar. You know that I'm a bit of a... I've tried weather dances before. It didn't work in Bahrain, of course, as much as I really tried. But I'm keeping an eye on it. I'm pretty good, you know, weather boy, per se. But I don't think we're going to get any rain during... there's a very slight chance of getting it towards the end of Q1. But once again, we do not know the weather for the race. So all these fast, dry setups for these drivers, they will have a choice. There is a parc fermé turned off. So between that gap, when they obviously approach race day, they then have a small period of time to get their whole engineers trying to make every little adjustment to the cars to whether it's going to be a wet race or not.
And there we are. So with Q1 officially complete, we have, looking at your, say, key race order, we have, say, Kieran Stewart topping the timesheets, 139.644. Two Ferraris behind P2 and P3, separated by just 3 milliseconds, and about a tenth behind of Q1 leader. Luke Franklin taking P4, statement to make, heading into Q2 in that Aston Martin. P5, the Haas of Beyond, and then Joshua Bashford with a P6 in the Alfa Romeo. And then leaving us in Quali 1 is going to be Liam Markin in the Alfa Romeo, Cameron Searle in the Red Bull, Thomas Harbick in the Alpine, Alex Hostler in the McLaren, and the Red Bull of Peter Loke. But that is, ladies and gentlemen, our Q1 standings. Now, before we head into Q2, of course, we do have to have a little bit of a think just about the... Well, I'm thinking of a way to phrase this, but we do have, of course, let's say, some star drivers on the field, and we really just question, is Emir going to pull it back this time? They have a very strong quali performance, stark contrast to how they did in the previous race. But where would you hedge your best, Dean? Who would be one to watch for the race today, if you had to pin it down to anyone?
Noah.
Noah?
Once again, yep. With the birthday birthday boost, as you'd mentioned, I'd say Noah. Noah. M, as I said, Emar. Yes, very much. Yeah. I think the Ferraris will look pretty strong here. It's going to come down to that wild card. Who else do you feel that could kind of bring it to them this evening?
I think we're going to see definitely some strong performances. I'm hoping that we see Will Casson again. They brought some absolute form last round, and I'm hoping to see them bring back some of that momentum they've otherwise shown in other series, shown themselves to be a very good driver, so they can put themselves toe-to-toe with the race leaders on their day. I'm hoping that we see a bit more of that, because they have some absolute pace when they are on form.
Yeah, you're right. It's going to be teamwork play, but I think if you can get a 1-2, then that you can really work together. Like it is easy to overtake, obviously, into turn 1, turn 2. You can obviously, you can overtake during the castle section. Please try it. Never seen it, but try it for me, at least, to see if it's going to happen. Yeah, once again, turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, all overtaken opportunities. Maybe the last corner if you're bold and brave, but then you want to get the DRS. Will it rain in Q2? Yeah, somebody was talking about that. I can guarantee you it's getting overcast towards the end of this session, of this Q2 session. So the track temperatures will drop a little bit. That may be the very reason as to why you're seeing every single driver but one out on track right now.
Yeah, so it looks like I think the drivers are forecasting something that we aren't. So of course we have our current conditions, but with that all being said, we don't see everyone heading out immediately. So I think they are predicting rain.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it. Don't know. We've tried to predict weather, haven't we, for many, many years now, as humans on the planet Earth, and we can't get it to the accurate minute just yet. Even here in Panama, where it should be about raining in about 30 minutes time, actually. I can't predict if it's going to be in 30 minutes time, or 35 minutes time, or 40 minutes time. That's when it gets tricky.
Yeah, we really got to consider everything at play here. So with these drivers, they're going to be trying to get the best time they can, of course. And with the rain potentially approaching, that emphasis on the banker lap is all too true at this point. So everyone, but I say, in fact, everyone is, in fact, now heading out. Emir going back into the pits immediately, though. Potentially waiting for a little bit of traffic. A little bit of a gamble we're seeing on the weather, maybe? So local yellow.
Yeah, traffic for sure, I'd say. There's going to be a bit of an issue if you see that track map. They're all pretty much bunched up there. It's looking good, I'd say, for both those Hasses. They got out some clear run there, and then the McLaren of Jacobs is behind them. So we'll see anyway who's going to be doing the... I think it's... is it Bjorn? Yeah, Bjorn should be one of the first ones across the line in a minute. They are on flying laps.
Everyone pushing it. Trying to get that lap in. They don't know what the weather's going to be, but they know that they have a limited time to get the lap that they want done. So if you saw a bit of a local yellow ahead for what looks like an AlphaTauri, but other than that, should be all okay. So it's a local yellow, and oh, that is an Alfa Romeo sideways through the castle section. That's Joshua Bashford.
Yeah, now it's going to block everybody. We was kind of talking about that. He's stuck. He's got to reverse. Got to be very, very careful not to reverse too much or you get disqualified. And has it allowed a couple of... very lucky to allow a couple of drivers to get through. This is one of the problems that I was talking about. This Kieran goes up to the 39 club with AJ at the 39 club, Luke in the 39 club. But yes, it's just time burnt, isn't it? Because now it's 10 minutes. Now Joshua's got to get back. Got to change the front wing. He's got to get back out there. He's got to do another out lap. And then also everybody else has got to pray that nobody else manages to, block the castle section per se and destroy everybody's chance of getting a lap. Jasper might be crossing the line in a second. Jason, sorry. In P... Oh, there was Jasper across the line at P3. A little delayed on the telemetry. Something else I was going to say to you, if I can't remember right now, is all this action's occurring.
Yeah, certainly a bit of a shake-up. I think we hedged our bets that something was going to happen in the castle section. We just didn't expect it to happen here in Q2. There we go. So that being said, 4 drivers have now yet, as a result of that, have yet to set a lap time. So, of course, we have Ray Yelty and Joshua Bashford being involved in that castle section collision. Emir Durakovic heading back out after a brief segment into the pits, potentially bumped a wall, got a little bit of damage incurred, and don't want to fight on track. And Jason McCleary, we're on board with now, heading through the castle section. Can they avoid the same mistake? Yes, they can. Holding a good line through the section. They're trying to hold it. You see a little bit squirrely there. I think they're being a little bit too aggressive on the throttle. I think they're trying to rush themselves potentially a little bit too much, but they're still holding a very strong pace heading through the rest of the lap. Now here we go.
He's about 2/10 down on the first sector. See how this is going to pan out for the second sector. Just up the road, I believe, and was it actually just gone through. I think that was Luke Franklin got up into P5. He was on the road. Anyway, 40.7 middle sector. That's about half. He's about 6/10 off at the pace at the moment. 6/10 off provisional pole. The first time.
There you
That'll
go.
get him up around P8, maybe. There it is. Right on, P8.
There you go.
That should be an engineer.
So you got everything. You got everything in the box, but yeah, say that is a P8 for Jason McCleary. And looking down the rest of the field, say we got the Ferrari going on an absolute rager right now. So trying to get a strong lap in, of course, being slow to get a banker lap in, being the last minus the 2 colliders to do so. Purple sector 1 for themselves heading through. Very good castle section, pushing the absolute limits. As we saw in Q1, nothing has changed for the Ferrari driver. Looks like a little bit of a squat, a little bit of a bump of the wall, but doesn't seem to have amounted to anything. As you can see, sparks flying from that under tray, flying from that plank. These cars are so finely tuned for this circuit. They know exactly what to expect. Slightly slow through Sector 2. Are they going to be able to snatch pole? I'm not sure if they are. Yes, it's going to come down to the wire.
39 thousandths of a second off Kieran. Currently, right now. So, is this compromised? As you said, the sparks, that means a lot of downforce. I want to see his top speed. The DRS activated. He's definitely going to be either P1 or P2 on this one. Which one will it be? 340 gets, and right there, 36 thousandths of a second. I called that actually. It was 39 thousandths of a second as he came out of Sector 2. So, equaled to Kieran on that last one. But 340 is down on speed a little bit, believe it or not. 340, he's actually the 11th slowest driver. Believe it or not, Jason is in the almost in the 350 kilometer hour club. And you got to think about that. That's 10 or so kilometers down that main straight faster than these other drivers. 10 kilometers an hour faster.
Yeah, but that's where we could potentially be seeing the differentiation between a race setup and a quali setup. So the higher downforce, I say, it lends... Low downforce lends very nicely to the speed traps, but you've got to remember also for every straight, there's about 5 or 6 turns that you've got to negotiate your car through, that you'll have to attack with, that you'll have to defend with. So I think we're seeing drivers with a different mindset depending on the conditions. Mimir may be one of them with a slightly higher downforce, but otherwise making a still very good time out of it, despite not carrying the highest overall speed. Ray and Yelty now through the castle section, very close to the barriers there. It's getting a little bit sketchy as we saw heading down. So I think a lot of these drivers, it's all too easy to push yourself to overdrive the car. And that's where we see a little bit of squiggling, a little bit of squirreling on the throttle when you come back out of a corner. Drivers got to be very careful to avoid that, because not only are you scrubbling your tyres a bit, but you are still losing time also. I think we saw a little bit of that wiggle again. It's just smooth, flowing inputs. That's what these cars are built around.
He should be good. He's about half a second at the moment, the pace here, so he might squeeze between that McLaren and that Ferrari. And we'll see that in a second. And I was wondering if we can get some names for these corners and stuff like that too, Ben, because I don't believe they have any names. And I loved your names last week. There it is, P8. You got right between, as I called that, between the McLaren and the Ferrari.
You are on fire with these predictions.
Yeah,
it's 2 for 2.
You do you put in the millions of hours I've put in casting Formula One in the last 3 or so years. You get pretty good on predicting it. But we need some of these names, mate. I remember last week that we had in Saudi Arabia. I love some of those. What did you call that corner again?
Oh, it bypasses me now. I think,
yeah.
Was it?
Somebody out there in the chat won't remember.
Yeah, chat's going to have to help us out on this one. But there we go. Everyone on the field has now set a time. Joshua Bashford coming through with a strong P3. Really good to bounce back and redeem themselves after their early on-track issues. I say local yellow. Looks like someone is having a bit of a day. It's having a bit of a day. Looks like Jason McCleary, they outbraked themselves, had to go into the runoff. Coming out of turn 3. And I
think E2's in trouble as well. I just saw a really bad sector from the Haas driver now, but he's got his mind. And this is going to be a risky run. Do you have to do 2 laps and charge that battery up? Because I don't think you're going to have time to go back in and out of 4 minutes and change. No, he's going to the pit lane. So you're going to get in and out really quickly right now too. Remember, we're going to eliminate 5 drivers as Noah goes right up to the top of the timesheet. Birthday boy, once again proving that he's going to be one to watch in this next part of qualifying and during the race.
Yeah, giving it their absolute all. And what a way to turn the year than with an absolute stormer of a quality performance. So we have seen in times previous that they have been very strong in qualifying, and we're seeing that trend potentially continuing. So they're heading through. Joshua Bashford now. So can they improve on their P4? Looks like they're peeling off into the pits. But one who is just behind, that looks like Luke Franklin. How are they going to do? Is it going to be an improvement? Yes, it is. It's going to be a 139.4. That's going to be enough for P2. We're heading down to the last few minutes of Q2 here.
Right now of maximum. I want to see if he can improve and get himself bang up at a P4. Certainly does. This is going to be threatening, so you're not safe at the moment. If you're AJ, I don't know if you're really going to be safe. I don't know if they'd be sitting in the pit lane. At some point, I'd be like, maybe you might need to go out. Jasper's obviously gone out to try to defend off anything. Will's gone out to try to defend off anything. It's where the cusp is right now. At 5/10, I think you might not be exactly safe on 5/10. We still have a couple of minutes. Depending on how many other drivers are out, and you can see everybody apart from Rain has decided to stay in. Everybody else is out. It might not be a good call, Rain. You might need to get back out there, mate, because definitely in the drop zone.
So they're in drop zone.
Other drivers, yeah, they're getting pushed down. AJ could be on the bubble. I'd say you would be. I don't know if you'd be safe there right now. That's up to you guys out there. Chat's quite quiet at the moment, mate. I think they're still recovering from that crazy Saudi Arabia race.
I know I would be in their situation, but there we go. So we've got 5 drivers currently in the drop zone, just under 3 minutes left in Q2. We have Jacob Scholten, Brian Yelty, Jason McCleary, and the 2 Hasses of Bjorn de Boer and E2 Lapalainen. Can we see them improve at all? Both Hasses now out on track on their outlaps. Going to see everyone trying to push and really just squeeze out as much time as they can to try and escape that drop zone. Now, of course,
Jason hasn't, mate. Sorry. Yeah, that's the AlphaTauri. Bad middle sector. Very bad middle sector. It's cost him quite a bit of time there. So he had to pull a miracle off here. I don't think it's going to be enough.
And I think that's the decision made to go into the pits there.
Yeah. And I don't think he had enough time to get back out and do anything about it there. No, he won't be. He'll have to settle outside that. But who else? Jasper's out there. Will's out there. Will's on a flyer. Keep an eye. Will's invalidated his lap, unfortunately, so that is it for Will. He's definitely... he's not going to see the next part of qualifying, I don't think. Now
That might be too little too late there. But here we go. So on board with Beyond the Ball right now in the Haas. Has to be one of them making it into Q2. Of course, a Haas being an absolute surprise powerhouse in this new season. And we're hoping that these two drivers continue that trend with the team. So because the sporting, let's say, the white and the red. I really do love that color scheme. I say I'm definitely one for visual design and how cars look just as much as how they perform. And sometimes, sometimes simplicity is the way to go. I mean, the pre-season testing livery with just the black and the white, I loved it to bits. I know it was a little bit polarizing because some people thought it was very plain, but that white and black, it's just it perfectly held the curves of the car. It looked beautiful in my opinion.
There you have it. We know your opinion now, Ben. As AJ's giving us a report that his car's broken down again. So unfortunately it happens with AJ. So that's the reason why he didn't go out to defend it. And they've retired his car. But he may very well be okay to get the next part of qualifying. And maybe because Bjorn has hit the wall.
He's absolutely
and that's it for the Haas. So it's going to be up to the other one right now, V2, to see if he can get that Haas through. Jason's in the pit. Rain could possibly do something about it. He's on a flying lap. And that's it. Will's in the pit lane. So any one of these guys could be okay, but this is it. This is make or break time right now.
All what it comes down to is that we got two drivers fighting to get out of Q2 right now. We've got E2 Apolline, say, on the last charge, as it were, say, really down on pace compared to the rest of the field. This is their one shot to make it up. Can they do it? Say a little bit of a local yellow for a teammate, but otherwise we've got it all down to the wire here. They say they're right in the middle of the track. Gonna have to yield for their teammate. Is it gonna be enough? It's gonna be enough for P10. Whoa. They're just on the cusp. That is P10 for E2 Apolline. They are just through, but I wouldn't rest on my laurels just yet. We have Ray and Yelty powering through. Last chance for them to set a time. Avoids the wall nicely. Are we going to see a time improvement from them? It's going to be very strong pace so far. All they need to do is carry it through. The E2 may have made it into Q2, but that might be very short-lived. They're pushing as hard as they can. Absolutely storming the pace right now. Over 200 miles an hour without a doubt.
I think he's cleared. He's going to push E2 down, I think, as he crosses the line in a second. He'll push E2 into the drop zone. Yes, he does. E2, unfortunately, doesn't make it. AJ, unfortunately, because of the broken down car, couldn't get out and defend, and that pushed AJ off in the drop zone. Wow. It's just all going crazy. Yeah, look at that. E2 got pushed down.
And there we go. That's it, right down to the wire. The last few seconds, we have, say, Ray and Yelty coming in with a stormer of a lap with a P7, putting them firmly into Q3. So heading on from that, we have Noé Lecorpi with a 139.2 blistering pace, showing their strength in qualifying alongside Luke Franklin in P2, Jasper Tinhagen in P3, Kieran Stewart P4, Maximilian Kloss in the Alpine of P5 with Amir down in P6. And say Jacob Shulton with a McLaren Alfa Romeo of Joshua Bashwood, see eking it out, and Luke Tenbrinker in the Mercedes. But that is a strong showing. But we see some surprise names out of Q2, namely say Will Casson and AJ Jackson, two otherwise very strong drivers.
Yeah, just probably not getting enough lap ends. We know there was technical issues with AJ's car, but towards the end. But I think they probably might have thought that they were, as I was saying, they might have thought that they were safe with that half a second buffer to the fastest time, but I called it towards the end, didn't I? I said that's probably, you're on the cusp of that half a second. Anybody ahead of that half a second, you're fine. And that vote that went out there, unfortunately, 40% of you were incorrect and 60% were correct. There was no rain in Q2, but will there be rain in Q3? That's going to be something interesting. We do have a driver that looked like they got a 5-place grid penalty, but that will obviously be investigated by the stewards before the race, and we'll see whether or not that will stick or not. Once they investigate that.
Yeah, so they will have to make the most of it, considering that they do have, say, quite the fight ahead of them. But here we go. So we're up in Q3 now officially. Everyone is out on track. Looking a little bit overcast though, Dean. Looking a little bit overcast. Yeah. How hard did you practice that rain dance?
I didn't too much for this track yet, but don't worry about it. I'll be out there doing that during once the qualifying's over, because I don't want to be on that track at the moment during qualifying, mate. I might get over. But this is dual time. So once again, I'm predicting Ferrari's doing really good here. Maybe they're going to be looking for a birthday surprise, obviously, for Noah and lock it out 1-2. But Kieran's got some pace. You know, everybody here's got capable of getting pace. Once again, coming down to track, getting the track position and get this banker in. Usually only 2 fast laps that you get for the final qualifying session. Just 2. You're really risking it for the biscuit if you push any more. On top of it, no other tyres have been used during the qualifying performance, all soft tyres, because we know generally during the race in 2022, the drivers are probably going to start on the mediums and hards. Not quite sure if anybody would want to start on those softs, but hey, safety cars are very common around this track.
Yeah, I think with the high speeds, as they could be very much a big amount of variability, especially when it comes to tyre wear. But a lot of the drivers, I think you are right, they're going to start on otherwise harder compounds of tyre, try to minimize the amount of stops. But that being said, it looks very overcast, so we could potentially see, if not a rainy Q3, then definitely a rainy race, potentially. But here we go, so on board, so current first driver to head out, Ray and Yelty, really, say, in the Williams. Yeah. And again, another striking design on the track, but holding a good pace so far. So we've seen a good performance from them overall to boot.
Yeah, apologies. I used to call him Brian because that's what I'm having for my nickname up there. But it's Rain. Will Rain be praying for rain? There you go, Rain. You know those puns are coming.
Rain and Rain.
That's my first pun for the evening. So I'm getting a bit rusty. I'm on Q3 already and only 1 pun up. So I wonder if the poll can go up at the moment as well too. If anybody would like to predict who will get pole position for our race coming up later, that will be the key. Obviously, we can only have a few selections, but I think we have a few ideas. So we'll probably have a few drivers, and then like, or another option would be like, or somebody else kind of thing, or surprise per se, be an option.
Yeah, definitely.
And then see if you can do your predictions as good as I have today for the times at least. But I don't know. I am predicting Noah to get a pole here. That's my one. If I lock it in, what's yours, Ben?
So my prediction is that, to say, well, one, we'll keep it clean on the race, hopefully. So we do just get word from race control that Joshua Bashford is getting a 5-place grid drop for the collision that they caused through the castle section back in the previous qualies. So they will have to fight tooth and nail to try and do a little bit of damage control on that one. But I think that we are, you wouldn't be too remiss to say that Noah is going to have a strong qualifying today. They are an absolute weapon when it comes to the qualifying format, and we're saying that they have just currently peaked the timesheets. I know these drivers have a lot more pace to give, but it's certainly an opening statement. Luke Franklin coming through with another 0.5, 3 milliseconds ahead, but Emir is going to come through with the 3.76. Luke Tebrinka with the 2.96. They're all immediately chipping away at those timesheets. And just like that, everyone bar Kieran Stewart, who had to go into the pits for what looks like a technical issue, has set a time already.
So Kieran's only going to get probably 1 lap run. If lucky, everybody else is going to dive back in the pits, charge up those batteries, maybe change the tires or not. That's something else. They got plenty of softs to use. Well, they've been using a lot of softs. You get an extra set of softs, I believe, for the third part of qualifying, so you can use those to your advantage. Yeah, Luke, great. Luke. So the 39 clubs are there, give or take. You've got to get the 39s, of course, if you're going to be looking at some serious pace. I think it's going to be really interesting if anybody thinks it's possible to even break into the 38s, the very late 38s. That's 0.3 quicker currently what Luke's done right now. That's a tall order. Maybe I think a pole, a 39.1, I think would be a damn good time if you want to see the right at the front row for the race.
Yes, definitely. If you are in, say, the 39 ones, I say we see Noah coming in with a 39.5. I don't think they're even at full power yet, not by a long shot. And of course, we will be seeing those times drop lower and lower. Everyone is nearly in the 39s club. Jacob Scholten is going to be hopping into the pits. We're going to have Maximilian Kloss, another strong performer, say, in the Alpine for around Noah, though, has seemingly had a bit of an issue. Hopefully we see them getting back in. Kloss, though, a little bit slow on their run. I think we're seeing everyone helping back into the pits now, waiting to see if the track potentially turns, because the weather looks all up in the air right now. You want to stay on these softs as long as possible, because they do still have the easiest time heating up and getting themselves into good pace range.
I'm seeing the track temperatures are about 27 degrees, track temperature 21, air temperature. Looking at a forecast in about 10 minutes. 10 minutes. I don't think the track temperature is going to change. Not sure about that rain coming in for the very last minute. Even so, absolutely no chance whatsoever to go to inters. But sometimes, there's the gamble. Last across the line, generally has the most grip traction, as you know. But if it does 80 spots of rain, then that advantage has turned completely into a disadvantage. So we'll see now, as Kieran's finally gone out. Kieran's gonna have the track to himself, which is gonna be great because everybody else is sitting there waiting for the very last moments that they can go out and set their times. Joshua's, I think, headed out now. So this is interesting. You also got to get that space as well too. And of course, I don't think you want him necessarily to be the last one across the line, because if somebody does have an accident in the castle section, your lap is gone. If you're near him, of course.
You are the mercy of the drivers around you. So Kieran, last driver to actually set a form of lap time here. You know that they're going to be pushing because we have just crossed to say we're less than 5 minutes left here in Q3, and this is all to play for. This is for the big boy positions, and Kieran does not want to be left out by any stretch. They've managed to net themselves quite a good bit of space. They've come out quite nicely, just ahead of Jasper Ten Hacken, and with quite a bit of space ahead of them to the next driver on track, which is Mia. But heading through the first sector, it's looking strong. They're carrying a good amount of pace. So pushing
come
through.
on, Kieran. He's got to set a fashion statement, of course, for the AlphaTauri. He's looking good. It's looking solid. Obviously the battery's been deployed. He's very comfortable. The car is doing what it wants to do. It's sticking to the track. It's like it's on rails at the moment. He's there. It is, and I probably just see a little bit of a cursive, little bit of a tank slapper against the wall, but no damage. Got to continue with it. Keep the loud pedal as loud as you possibly can, because you want to get at least a lap in. Kieran knows it. He hasn't backed off. I don't think he stopped his battery, so no, he hasn't backed off on this one. He's going to commit. I don't think it's cost him too much time. We'll see his first sector in a second. The Scotsman, we know, has some pace. He's got a bit of traffic up the road, and that Ferrari's got to get out of the way. Wow, that's squeezing against the wall there. Wow, I wonder if that might be under a little bit of investigation. He was going to hug the wall anyway, but Ferrari might have caused him a little lift. That'll be interesting. He's 7/10 off now, yes. He might have to completely jump in the pit lane and, go back out again. I'm not sure if he's going to run across the line now, as he's 7/10 down. So no, he's committed to this.
He is committed. It's going to be a little close. It's enough for P7, though.
Oh,
the 139.6.
Wow. I got a little bit of wrong information there. But okay, that's good then. Got to wait for all those cars. That's also I don't know, not the nicest of corner to be allowing cars around, but
it's definitely not to be on the inside, because that was a little bit of a blocking on the apex there. So I think a little bit of track obstruction might get a raised eyebrow from the stewards to say, I don't know if anything will come of it, but certainly a raised eyebrows. But looks like Jacob Schotten is having an absolute nightmare. So they messed it coming out of turn 1. I think just overcooked it slightly, but is going to be looking to recover from that. Put themselves in a bit of a higher spot. And for now, so we have
both Joshua and Rain are on flying laps, and very similar first sectors between them. And that's interesting, because that might do a switcheroo later on, isn't it, between those drivers of one person inhibiting another person. That could probably cancel each other out on that one. We'll see it to Stewart's later on. For now, we focus on just under 2 minutes of qualifying. What can Joshua do in the Alfa Romeo? Is he going to cross the line any time in a minute, in a second, in a millisecond? Push that Alfa Romeo up to what position? Up to P3.
That's a strong show in there, Zao. And even with the five place grid drop, that's going to be good for P8. So by no means is that bad. I say that's good amount of damage control there from the Sauber own team. And with a lot of drivers
crashed too.
Yeah,
sorry, cut you off there.
Yeah,
From Maxim's crashed out. He's out, so he can't be doing any times now. I'm not sure where that crash was, but it is retired, terminally damaged. Who else? Luke had set fastest first and second sector, and he's out. I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, I think they also crashed out. It looks like they were stopped on track.
Yeah.
I think just overcooked it heading onto the final straights.
I'm not quite sure there's anybody else at the moment putting any flying laps. Just cooldown laps. I think that may very well be it. I don't see anybody else. Unless Jacob's about to start a lap. He's going to end a lap. And he already invalidated. Can he get enough in for another one? No, he can't because he's got to go in the pit lane. He's got no battery. I think Luke's done it. I think Luke has done it.
Yes, we've had 4 drivers now coming out of the session, either by technical issue or by crash. Say, surprise, say, Noah down in P6, 30 seconds to go. I don't think we're going to have anyone potentially dethroning Luke, although saying that looks like Emir just got a fastest fastest sector 1. Going to have a take a look at how they are doing. They're setting the timesheets on absolute fire right now.
Yeah, come on. You're going to get a Ferrari up in the front. Do it at least for your teammate Noah for his birthday. He wants to see red on the front row. This is a good lap. This is a great lap. 40.7 middle sector. It's close. He's dropped about 4/10. I don't know. The telemetry's been playing tricks on me. We'll see. I don't know if I can predict this one. Unfortunately, Ben, that's up to you now.
It looks like it's going to be close. I think we could see our 138. So they're 4/10 down. So Luke Brinker coming across to say 139.296. Can the Ferrari beat it? Sparks are flying. It's over 210 miles an hour in these things, heading down the start-finish straight. Is it going to be enough? It is!
He's got it!
138.8 from the Ferrari. What a showing. Dominating Q3. Jasper ten Hagen not going to have any form of response heading into the pit lane. And that is going to be Q3, ladies and gentlemen. Here is your P1 to P10 standings. And what a performance from all of the drivers.
Yeah. Absolutely, Ben. Sorry to cut you off. Sergio Maraggioni, I think his name is, said, a Ferrari that is not winning is not a Ferrari. And there is your proof. Even though it's not winning a race, it is winning the pole position for our Baku Grand Prix coming up soon.
And certainly a fashion statement to make. As we finish out Q3, let's take a quick look at the standings heading in to the race later on. So in P1 we have Emir with an absolute belter of a lap, clocking in, the only driver to clock in the 138s with the 8.814. Luke Brinker with a 139.296 in the Mercedes. Mercedes definitely being on form, a strong return. But to say P2 and P4 for the Mercedes. P3, just in between, Joshua Bashford in the Alfa Romeo. Aston Martin of Luke Franklin crashing out, unfortunately, but still scoring enough for P5. Noah with a Ferrari runner, but still not enough. So I think they also crashed the 139.574. And Ryan Yelty in P7, Kieran Stewart in P8, Jacob Scholten in P9, and Maximilian Kloss in P10. But the other thing is that, remember, Joshua Bashford is going to receive a 5-place grid drop. So all the other drivers are going to be moving up, and Bashford is going to be dropping from a P3 to a P8. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once again to Baku, to the beautiful city streets of Azerbaijan here for the SwiftX Digital Motorsports Grand Prix. So, okay, remember, Azerbaijan, a real test of attrition, a test of mettle here for all the drivers, one of wits, one of courage, as we can see the beautiful city circuit, say the infamous castle section, its reputation preceding it. Let's just say 3 DRS zones. Really just an intense track, 20 corners, full speeds of up to 210 miles per hour. So let's take a look at the starting grid here. We have Emir Durekovic with P1 in that Ferrari, a real statement. Luke Brinker in the P2. Joshua Bashford in the P3, getting his grid penalty removed by the stewards. And Jasper ten Hagen with a P4. Luke Franklin P5 and Noah Ilakorpi with the P6. Both of them suffering an off in Q3, but still getting good positions. Ryan Yeltsin and Kieran Stewart taking the 4th row on the grid here in Baku. Jacob Schotten and Maximilian Kloss rounding out the Q3 roster on the 5th row. E2 Lapalainen and AJ Jackson take P11 and P12 in the Haas and Williams respectively, with P13 and P14 going to Will Casson and Jason McCleary. And Bjorn De Boer, Liam Markham taking P15 and P16. And then rounding down the bottom ends of the grid, we have Cameron Sell, Thomas Hardwick in the Red Bull and the Alpine, and then P19 and P20 we have Alex Hostler and Peter Loke. But I'm of course joined once again by the beautiful Dean. How are you doing, my friend? It's good to be here.
Yeah, we're back, and we're back in Baku. And we're just waiting for everybody to be gridding up because there's not going to be any formation lap. We don't have time for formation laps. Keep that to the F1. We'll keep it to the SwiftX Sports to just get this race underway. Look out, obviously, for the Mercedes in P2 and P3. Can the Ferrari driver who put it on pole cover that crucial turn 1? And then if you get that right, you got turn 2, turn 3, those sweeping left-hand turns. Then you're safe for a little bit before you go castle, unless they're trying to take an overtake through castle, which is very much possible, as we'd mentioned. 7 meters wide. Formula One car is 2 meters. So, and then go back all the way around through the other tricky sections, of course, high-speed corners. Walls, we all know, take absolutely no prisoners. Will they take any of these prisoners? They have 20 of them if they want. But hopefully not anybody. Still, well, and we once again has the weather dance that I did. But after qualifying, when I went down there, and I was just what everybody was looking at me going, what is that crazy Australian doing? Well, I was doing my rain dance. We'll see if we're going to bring rain. Welcome, everybody in the chat.
It's good to see
I got through that, Ben, in one breath.
Yeah, and breathe. But there we go. Remember to say no formation laps. Drivers are going to be starting from the grid with the tyre temps that they need. It's going to be some craziness heading through and starting the race. Remember, Baku is not about getting the fastest pace. And a lot of cases for these drivers, it's about making it simply to the finish. But here we go. Everyone lining up on the grid, and it's going to be a quick getaway. We're going to hop straight into it. Why am I getting a voice comms in the game? But here you go, heading straight into it. It's a big juggling up and down the field, lots of jostling, lots of fighting up and down the field. Emir getting away quite quickly from it all. It looks like there's some issues down at the back of the field. Not sure what's going on there. It looks like a hat is backwards. That's E2, and everyone is spinning round. That's Alex Hostler also back around, coming through turn 2. Both of the drivers are spinning out, and you can see immediately no chill, all chaos. And there's another pile up at the back of the field.
There is, yeah. AJ just got past, I think, and there was Liam involved. There is a ton of cars there, carbon fiber, but not any of those cars are DNF'd, actually, believe it or not. So we won't get a red flag. It's go, go, go. We don't even get a yellow flag there. It's all be okay. But trust me, coming around the pit lane, there's got to be a ton of cars going down there to change some carbon fiber parts.
Yeah, they've got to be fighting tooth and nail to get those positions back. They know that they've lost a lot of time, got a lot of damage as well, potentially for a lot of these drivers, losing end plates, losing grip, losing side pod damage as well. You can see through castle section, everyone's mostly settled back in. They're in the queue, and they are fighting to try and get back up. Ray and Yelty falling behind down to P11 right about now. They're fighting for their life, a lot of these drivers are. But here we go, lap 1, shenanigans are in full swing.
Oh, Ryan couldn't break it in time. Slammed straight up the back of Kieran. Lost definitely a end plate. And lucky he doesn't have to go too far now. And Kieran obviously got pushed forward, and they're probably not going to be a happy cat. But Kieran may very much have rear wing damage. He's got front end plate damage. Everybody almost at the track at the moment has damage, apart from Emma, who's going to cross that line right now and go, thank you very much. 1.2 second gap over both of the Mercs. Lap 2.
There we go. Top of the field. Looks like things have mostly settled down, at least for now. Emir making full capitalization on the chaos behind them. And right now, they're just growing that second gap, ready for lap 3, trying to get out. But it looks like there's another issue down at the back end of the field. Let's say this is the pit retirement from Ray and Yelty. And say Alex Hostler already in the pits to say early stop. Swapping the front wings.
Almost a double stock. Yeah, front wing change. I think that Ryan could have had too much damage, maybe. I mean, yeah. There were some pretty heavy impacts there. I'm surprised it's just the one retirement there that just could not fix that car. Alex will come back out. Both the McLarens are P1 and P2. Don't have to worry about buying his contract out at the moment, so you're going to save yourself $23 million. But further back, we have a bit of a race there. Still on our hands, of course, and now it's going to settle in a little bit, but there's still opportunities. Kieran right now on Peter, both the Red Bulls, and Peter in the moment is in the middle of them. The AlphaTauri, of course, he's also another Red Bull, but the Junior Red Bull is going to follow their way up through the castle section safely, yes, and overtake done.
The wall move that was 7 push. We didn't quite catch in time, but this battle is by no means over. So as we cross the next lap, remember DRS will be in effect, and that's we're going to see some big moves happening up and down the field, mostly keeping out of the walls for now, as we start to see
as well
on the dockets before the safety car comes in. And say, just looking at some of the differential in pace, I say best laps, I say Emir is absolutely on a stormer in terms of how they're doing pace-wise. It's currently on a 1:42.6, despite being on, let's say right now, on ailing hards. I think they set that on a softer compound, unless you have the data on the box there.
I'll get that on the Ferrari pit wall. That's pretty much hanging around the Ferrari pit wall. That's where I've been. Yeah, he did on lap 3 on those mediums.
Well, there you go. There's a strong pace setter in that Ferrari. The confidence is there, and the confidence is very much with a strong foundation. Let's just see, 8 seconds before the safety car come in. I can't help but feel like they'll be frustrated with that situation. They built up such a good lead. They were on much older compound, potentially could see it through to the end with some good tyre conservation, only for yet another safety car to come out and neuter that lead they built.
I was just talking to Will Buxton there for a second just to check up on what's going on there. Say g'day. And by the way, everybody out there, if you just tuned in, it's Noah's birthday today. The Ferrari driver kind of running in P2. The Ferraris are running in P1 and P2. Noah's nursing damage as far as I've been running down all the pit wall to all the teams. He's the only one at the moment that is nursing damage. Everybody else that has come back into that pit stop recently probably did elect to change their front end plates. And believe it or not, you can't take it away from Cameron. Now, that's Cameron back in P10. That's the Red Bull. He's visited Christian Horner and the Red Bull team. What am I looking at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times this evening. Anyway, safety cars in this lap.
So it never hurts to say hi, but there is a limit. But either way, safety car is in. Once again, we are going to be set back out. Hopefully for the final time we see that pace car. But that is the safety car in. The Ferraris are 1, 2. The Alpines 3 and 4. We could see 2x2s potentially at the top end of the field if all goes to plan for the red and the blue. Who's going to come out on top? But either way, Emir setting the pace. When are they going to go for the getaway? Looks like they're going to be stretching it to the last minute. Here we go, though. We're back up to race speed. We lap 21. We're pushing every single inch. Emir is going to be on an absolute mission now on those hard compounds to get that gap back out again and stretch it ahead.
Yep. I'm on board with AJ, so I keep an eye on that for the highlights as well, too, as you've got the other focus there, because he's got the job done. And yeah, you can see an eye on Noah, I think at the moment, E2 as well in the back there. I'll try to keep an eye on all the action at the back there, keep an eye on the action at the front. There's so much to keep an eye on.
Oh, this is a spin for Maximilian. He stands backwards, and it's a
E2
big
straight in the wall as well. That's going to be maybe another... Oh, I don't know. You don't think you can get another safety car? I'm not quite sure if they can deploy another one.
Not at this point. They're carbon littering the straight coming out of turn 3, though. Cass is out of the session as well, to boot. Out of the session, I think just went
There's no
too
front
deep.
wings. Red Bull's missing a front wing. Karen's missing a front wing. I don't know if anybody's even got a front wing at the back of the pack right now. Joshua's got damage. There's still green flag conditions, of course. This is obviously going to help out Noah there. And AJ is up into P4 there. I saw that great launch that he had at the start of the race. He's got those nice boots, remember? Put a bit of pressure on Liam. An amazing drive there for Liam. He started in P16. He's got all the important bits attached to his car. And he's only got 5 laps to go to possibly finish on a podium.
Yeah, I say amidst all of the chaos, there's going to be winners and there's going to be losers. Looks like Liam is currently one of them. All they need to do is bring it home. They have 5 laps, almost 4 laps to go now. And a lot of these drivers managed to get out unscathed, as it looks like Maximilian Kloss is another casualty on field, and it's another safety car.
It's a safety car being deployed, exactly. So, yeah, you got the Ferrari's got to go. No, you can't go in. He's already passed the pit lane. And they're still bunched up from the other safety car. So you box right now from anywhere at the front, you've dropped all the way down to the bottom, and those 4 have stayed out.
It's not
all
worth
the other
it.
drivers that are boxing is because they all have damage. I was just about to tell you to go back and have a look at those drivers, because this is one of those races where I'm seeing 3 cars racing each other without a front wing. Yes, never see that very often, but they were.
It's really just... I don't think we're going to see or have seen such a chaotic race as we've seen today in Azerbaijan. I mean, I'm struggling to mentally process all of it, honestly, because there's just been so much going on at the back of the field, at the front of the field, the midway, the mid-pack, E2, so really limping that Haas along as they get missing a front wing, despite going in.
Yeah, I'm running out of timing screen. I don't know if you want to scroll through the timing tower there and switch over to the positions gains and losses, as well as go over to those pit stops, my friend, because 6 pit stops, 4 pit stops, 3 pit stops. I think we were speaking to a couple of those drivers, weren't we, between after the qualifying, saying how many pit stops do you think this race is going to be? They were like 1 or 2. Well, 90% of the field at least have visited the pit lane 2 or more times. The only 2 drivers that have only been in 1 time are the 2 Ferraris that are leading this race.
Yeah, I think that's just a testament to how pit stops can add up. No matter how well you do on track, too many pit stops, that's just too much of a time loss that you really cannot get back, no matter what you do. So we do have some standouts, so like Peter Luck with 6 stops and yet still managing a P7 despite all of the anarchy going on around them, along with Cameron Sell down in P12 as they wanted with 7 drivers. 7 out of the 20 drivers.
No, Liam's boxed. I think his tyres, well, they're 50-something%. I think they could have gone to the end. He's only got about 2 laps to go, unless he's fishing the front wing. No, he's getting rid of the tyres.
Now, I
don't think he can get out. Can he get out in front of Luke? Yes, he can. Can get out in front of Luke, so he'll retain P5. But that's a lot of places to overtake, considering there's 2 cars up the road there. Even though they show 5 laps, they've only really done, remember, 2 laps of full racing conditions. The rest of them have been on a safety car, so they're still brand new. I don't. Maybe Liam's throwing away a podium there. I know he was going to be under massive attack from AJ, but
I think that
you just don't know what's going to go on there. It's
this could either go one or 2 ways. I think that this is a very smart, in fact, play from Liam, because they had such a big gap to Luke that they could pit for fresh softs. With the 2 drivers ahead of them, yes, they say they've only done a couple laps on race pace, but they still would have grained, they still would have been pushed, not to mention all of the chaos on track, pushing them in suboptimal ways. So like tire wheel spin and getting them in really worked in and overheating throughout all the chaos. I think this could either be a throw at a podium, like you say, or with the big disparity in tyre life, I think we could see a potential big brain strategy, as it were.
I'm going to counteract that one. I'm going to disagree. That's what we do, of course. We're as commentators, we're supposed to disagree with each other. Because what I've just heard from the Williams garage is that AJ is got about 20% damage. He's missing an end plate. So that means that Liam probably, even with those tires being a little bit older, because he had no damage, could have possibly have covered off AJ with the better tires, because AJ's nursing that damage. And that's an interesting call.
Yeah, it's an interesting call
but
to
did
make.
they know? Did their team know that AJ had the damage? Because maybe if they didn't know, there was a smart move to go in and change the tires. But if they were aware of his damage, I probably would have risked it and stayed out. And that's actually going to be really good news now, isn't it, for Noah? Because Noah's still, remember, nursing that damage as well. So Noah's missing an end plate, and AJ's missing an end plate. So it's like you miss an end plate, you miss an end plate, and you miss an end plate, like an Oprah Winfrey show. Everybody's just Yeah, you mentioned this, mate. It's a race of attrition. Everybody's nursing these damaged cars right now. They just need to get them home. There's only 2 laps to go. The safety car is going to be in this lap.
I don't think the teams are going to be happy with the carbon fiber bills and the bodywork bills that are racking up as a course of this event. But either way, points on the board, points in the championship. I'm sure if it swings the championship in their favor, I think they can stomach that. They can live with the couple of millions that they have to burn on fresh chassis.
Yeah, I'm going to be... It's because it's even between Noah and AJ. Battle of the missing end plates is the key between the Ferrari and the Williams. So, but AJ has that advantage of tires. That's the only thing that's going to swing in his favor. So, but then again, he's got no DRS. I don't believe you're going to have DRS because by the time they get started, they're going to be on lap 25, and there's only going to be 2 laps, and that's it. You won't get the DRS advantage. So, which is almighty and powerful. So they're together. This could be an opportunity for that Williams driver of Jasper, mate, to seize this because he has no damage, and he's got some not bad tires. Liam, of course, definitely. I expect Liam maybe to make a run to P4. And if anything happens between Noah and AJ, etc., down there, then anybody's podium right now. I think anybody's podium basically from P6 of Luke, the Aston Martin, all the way up to lead. But I think Irma's got this one. Like, if he just cruises on the road, it should not be a problem. But what's going to happen behind him is the key. Welcome, everybody. This is going to be the final couple of laps of this absolutely fanatical, crazy, exciting safety car Baku race for round 3 here in SwiftX Racing. So all aboard, everybody. Hold on tight. Tray tables upright, your seat upright, and get ready. Definitely strap your seatbelts on because you're in for a ride.
So what ride it's going to be. 3 laps to go. Emir's going to set off, lock the pace. Noah's going to come up close behind as well. He's going to nail that set off too. Heading through turn 1 is going to be nice and clean. Coming through, so some switch up and down.